Hey everybody, it's Kimberly. Welcome back. It's Thursday. It's time for our Q&A Thursday, and I thought that we would take Q&A Thursday outside to our backyard. It is so beautiful. Have you been enjoying this amazing weather? If you have been, put a thumbs up in the comments below. I would love to hear how you are enjoying this amazing weather. So, I am grateful to be back together with you for our Q&A Thursday. We've got a great question in store for us today. Would you give me a thumbs up or a wave or a hi that you are listening in? I'd love to say hi to you. And I would also love for you, if you're listening to this later, 1 o'clock doesn't work for you, you're listening to this later, I'd love for you to put a hashtag replay in the comments below, and that lets me know that you are listening in later. So let's get to your questions. We've got a great one today from Jess, and she asks, how can we help our children to have good attitudes for things that come hard to them or they're not interested in doing, like some subjects in school that they may not like? Have you ever been on a sports team? You've played on a sports team, or I'm sure that you've watched sports on TV and you've seen the pre-game huddle, or you've seen timeout huddle and the coach gets the team together and they strategize their next play, or maybe they need to rally the team spirit because they're losing. You know the huddle. Okay, so you can use that same pre-game huddle with your kids at home. And here's how it works. You can use this for anything that you need to talk about with your kids in terms of your parenting, or you can use it for those really hard subjects like you asked about, Jessica, or those things that they're just really not interested in doing. But first, let's talk about just parenting in general. I would love for you to look on Facebook, check out this past Tuesday's At Home with the Kids. In that At Home with the Kids, I talk a little bit more about this pre-game huddle idea. So check that out, gather the kids around. Let's say that you need to go to the dentist, and you're gonna gather the kids around, and then you're gonna ask the kids, how do we need to behave when we go to the dentist? Then you talk it over. What can they expect? You're communicating through your expectations. Let's say that you're going out to the restaurant and you gather the kids together before you get in the car, as you've pulled into the restaurant parking lot before you get out, and you say, hey everybody, how are we going to behave when we are at the restaurant? Are we going to talk really loud? Are we going to honor the people around us so that they can enjoy their meals too? Okay, so what does honoring the people around us look like? Is it chewing with our mouth open? Is it talking really loud? Is it, being impatient if the food takes a little bit longer? So the pre-game huddle gives you that chance to talk through what your expectations are. So you're setting them up for success on how things are gonna go when you are out at that restaurant or when you're out at the dentist's office. Okay, another way that you can use the pre-game huddle. Let's say that you need to get everybody together to clean up the house. So, and you know that some have a tendency to get easily distracted. So you would gather them together and you say, hey everybody, we're gonna spend a little bit of time tidying our house. At the end of the week when we've had lots of fun, I'm so grateful for our house and that we get to clean up. So who wants to vacuum? Okay, who's gonna clean the toilet? Are we gonna stay really focused and get our house cleaned really fast with excellence? Or are we gonna take a long time? Are we gonna get distracted? Are we gonna play with our toys instead? That's how you can use the pregame huddle to work through those things. If you know they have a tendency to get distracted or to give up because it's too hard, you can talk through those things together first, okay? Another way that you can use the pregame huddle, let's say that you need to do some work at home and you have an hour or two that you need to work. So then you can gather the kids together and you can say, hey, what are you gonna do while I'm doing my work at home? What are you gonna enjoy playing with? Or are you gonna color? Can I help you set out the Play-Doh while I work quietly for this next hour? And you've set your expectations. Can they come in and keep interrupting you? Maybe you need to make a phone call. All of those things. That's the power of the pregame huddle. It's something that we do all the time in our house. I remember once when Karis was 3, Natalia was just a baby, and we were on our way to the zoo, and we were meeting some friends. It was actually in another state when we were home visiting family, and we were gonna meet these friends at the zoo, and we had to drive. And I was thinking, oh no, I can just imagine that we're gonna have a really good time at the zoo if Karis doesn't take a nap. So how can I get her to take a nap? And so we were learning this pregame huddle idea. So I said to Karis, I am so excited to go to the zoo. This is talking to a 3-year-old, right? I'm so excited to go to the zoo. Aren't you? Like, what animals do you want to see when we go to the zoo? And so she shared the animals she wanted to see and the fun we were going to have. And then I said, wouldn't it be a really good idea if you took a nap now while we drive to the zoo? We've got some walking to do when we get there. We don't want to miss out on any of the zoo animals. We want to see them all. So wouldn't it be a really good idea if you took a nap while we drove to the zoo? And she agreed. She put her head down, she closed her eyes, and she went right to sleep. It was amazing. There wasn't the whining, oh, why do I have to sleep? There wasn't any of the arguing. It was the pre-game huddle power. So I encourage you to try it at home. And you know what? You may already be using this pre-game huddle. It's just not what you call it. You're not calling it that. But you're already gathering the kids together and you're talking first about your expectations. You're communicating to them what they're going to experience and how they can win, how everyone can have the most fun, how everyone should choose to behave in that situation. So try the pre-game huddle. Now, Jessica, you mentioned specifically in your question about how you can help your kids when something is hard for them, like in their schoolwork or something that they're just not interested in at all. So let me give you some suggestions with that, but still using the pregame huddle. So let's say that it's math. Math is challenging for them in their schoolwork. And some of my things I'm going to show you are blowing away. So let me gather them up. Okay, so let's say in math, we'll just use percents. Percents is a challenge. Okay, so here's how you can use the pregame huddle with math. So you would say to your child, even before you open up your textbooks, you would say, you know what, I know that this percent work is really challenging, but it's real life. We use percents every day. We use them when we go to the restaurant and we want to know how much tip that we give our waitress. If we're at the store and there's a sale and it's 35% off and we want to know how many dollars that percent off that sale is off the item. So it's real life. Let's work together through these percent problems with a good attitude. Okay, so you haven't even opened the math book up. First, you've empathized with them. You said, I know that doing percents is challenging, but let's choose a good attitude, and let's do it together. Okay, you've set the expectation. If you know they have a tendency to throw up their hands and say this is too hard, you can say that. You can also say it this way. You're pre-gaming them. You can say, you know what? We really faced a challenge yesterday with those percents. Wow, that was really difficult. But let's try to get there again today. Are you ready to try it together again today with a good attitude? See, the thing is, whether the math is hard, whether we don't want to clean the house, whether we have a difficult thing to face, maybe it's in your business, maybe it's at work, we still have to do it. That's the reality of life. So the other thing I wanted to mention to you, sometimes in life we just have to do it whether we want to or not, whether we're interested in it or not. It's okay to be real with our kids and to say that. To say, you know what, sometimes there's things that we've got to do even though we don't want to do it. And I know that this math is challenging, and I know that you don't want to do it, but we need to do it. Sometimes in school you're assigned a project that you don't want to do and you've got to do it. But what we can change, we can't change the assignment, we can't change the challenging percents, but we can change our attitude. We can change our perspective. And that's something that you can teach to your kids. You can talk that through with them. Sometimes we don't want to clean the house, but we all make the mess. And so if we work together as a team, we can get the house cleaning done faster and we can have fun doing it. Let's make it a game. Sometimes it lightens a load. It lightens mom's load if we help out. Sometimes it helps out grandma, even if we don't want to do it, but we do it anyway, even if we're not interested in it. Another thing is our friends. Maybe our friends want to tell us the same story again and again and again, but isn't it honoring to them? Isn't it kind to hear that story again and again because they're interested in it, even though we aren't? So those are some of the things that you can talk that through with your kids. Sometimes we have to do those things even if we don't want to. So another few suggestions for your kids if something is really challenging, like their math, or if they're not interested in it, maybe you can try to change things up a little bit. Let's do something a little bit different. So some of those props I wanted to show you is something I did with Jonathan. So Jonathan, rather than reading like a block of a box on his pages of all the words that he needs to read, I mean, he looks at that and he says, I don't want to read that. That's too many words to read, right? So what I did was I took all the words that he has and I just made a little slip of paper with the words that he's reading. Here's another one. And then I just printed off a picture to match the word that he needs to read. And then what we did, here's one for blast. Blast. is I put it in one part, so the word in the living room, and then I put the picture in the dining room. And then what he did was he would read the word and then he would run to the dining room. He would match the picture up, run back to the living room, read the word, run back to the living room, and he would match the word with the picture. And it was amazing. We were reading words like this when before on the piece of paper it took a long time. And then the girls and I were dancing, we put on some fun music, and it was amazing because he didn't rush to read the words. He took his time to really sound them out and to read them well. So maybe you can change things up a little bit. I mean, that's our go-to way to read our words these days. So maybe with the math, maybe they're just too tired of doing another math page. I mean, who wants to sit there again another day and do a whole math worksheet? But what you can do is you can cut them up and you can fold up the piece of paper. You can make some clues. You can like I keep things cold and even frozen. And then they have to run to the fridge or the freezer, and then they find the clue, next clue with the math problem. And then they would solve this math problem before they go on to the next clue. And you just go around doing all of your math pages, and it's a fun scavenger hunt. Or maybe you just hide the pieces of paper anywhere in the house and they have to run and find them. Or you just draw them, out of a bowl and they just do the problems that way. And it could make it fun. It could make them more interested in it, and it could change things up a little bit. It could take the same challenging percents and turn it into fun just because you've done it a different way. So try that out. Let me see my notes for any other suggestions I had for you. Okay, say that it's history. Could you read a story? Could you watch a YouTube video? Could you watch a little movie clip that makes it fun? Try anything like that. Could you play a game? Could you call up an uncle who knows something about this? And it could turn something that they're not interested in into fun. Okay, so give that a try. I know that this next suggestion may not always work for the classroom, but it works great for at home or doing school at home. So say for instance, percents, we'll keep that train of thought for math. But anything, say it's a challenge and your child is really struggling. I think it's okay to take a break. I think it's okay to give it a day or 2 or 3 or take a week and then come back to that when it's fresher, when they're more willing to give it a try. Give that a thought if they're not really struggling with it and they just need a break. Okay? I hope that helps. Let me give you another thought with the pre-game huddle, is to be sure to ask your children this question: how are you going to respond? So you've gathered them together, you've given your expectations, you've talked through what's going to happen. You can ask, how will you respond? So let me give you a practical example. We did this all the time with our kids when they were little, and we would go to grandma's house and they were playing with the cousins and they were having fun, and we would give them the 5-minute warning. And we would say, in 5 minutes, it's time to leave. What will you do when it's time to leave? And then we would talk through it. So this conversation would be in the car or at home before we even left. So what is it that you're going to do? So we're going to clean up the toys that we've been playing with. When it's time to leave, we're going to hug our cousins and say, we love you, and we're going to get our shoes on. Okay? We're going to go to the washroom before we leave. So we talked through those things so the expectation was already set. We didn't have the whines and the cry. So we would have that conversation in the car, and then we would have that conversation in the playroom, the toy room, with the cousins. So all the cousins heard, okay, what are we gonna do when it's time to leave? We're gonna all work together to clean up the toys. We're gonna go to the washroom. We're gonna hug our cousins, and we're gonna say bye and put on our shoes. And it worked great. So ask the question, how will you respond? When it's the hard math problems, when you've opened up the textbook, say, when we face this challenge, how will you respond? When we get to a hard one, talk that through. Have a plan for it first, okay? If they have a challenge staying focused when it's cleaning, you can pre-game them with a badge. You can say, I believe in you to stay focused on this task and to get all the toys cleaned up and ready, the floor ready to vacuum. I know you're gonna stay focused and you're gonna get the job done. And then give them a badge so that as they wear it, they remember that they stay focused on the task. So I hope that helps. I hope all of those suggestions are something that you can use today. In fact, I'd love for you to share in the comments below what is one area that you can use the pre-game huddle today with your kids, okay? Share that below, because we are a community. We can all learn together. Oh, that's a great way. that I can pregame my kids. That would take out so much frustration. We are here for that, right? We are here for that communication. Now, I know that it feels like you say the same thing again and again, and you think, you know, my kids should already know to do this. My kids should already know to do their morning chores, brush their teeth, you know, like all of that. That's where the pregame huddle can come in to help you out. Also, I just want to give you some real life perspective in the sense that we are in this parenting journey and it is going to take some reminding. I mean, I am how old? And I still need to be reminded. If I don't write it down, I forget. And so when I feel like I have said the same thing again and again and again, and why can't my kids remember this? Why is it not a habit for them yet? I remind myself, hey, who needed to write that down just yesterday so that she didn't forget? Oh, who still needs to write an appointment that she has, you know, a phone chat that she has on Saturday morning. If I don't write it down, I'm going to forget it. I'm going to do that after this live. So I just encourage you to give your kids just a little bit of grace. They are learning, they are growing. I know it feels like you've said it 100 times, but your consistency, your intentional pre-game huddle reminder will help it become a habit for them. Don't lose hope. Don't get weary in that. Before this Q&A gets too long, I so appreciate you taking the time to listen in. I just wanted to mention one thing that I think is really probably the most important thing. So if you are listening in to this pre-game huddle Q&A Thursday and you are multitasking, would you just pause for a minute and listen in? Is that one of the most important things with your pre-game huddle is to speak into existence what is not yet there with your kids. I think that's the whole heart, my whole passion behind Speak Life Badges. Romans 4:17 says to call into existence what is not yet there with your words. That's from the Bible. And it is telling us, it's commanding us that if we will speak out what we do not yet see, it can come. You and I believe passionately for our kids. We believe in our kids that they can do great things. We know that they can share. We know that they can honor. We know that they can obey right away. We believe that even though we don't see it yet. So what I encourage you is to be really intentional with your words. Use Speak Life Badges, the scripts, to help you to call into existence what is not yet there. I'll share you the story really quick with you. Karis was young and she was not sharing with Natalia. And I heard the whole conversation go down and they were fighting over this toy. And Speak Life Badges it was the idea, it was something I was working on, you know, it was part of that 3-year journey, right? And I only had these little Avery Staples stickers and I had printed all the badge phrases and I was trying them out. And I had I share. And I took Karis aside and I said to her, Karis, you have an amazing heart of love for your sister. I know that you have a heart to share your toys with her. She wasn't sharing. They were arguing over this toy. But that's not who she is. She has a heart to share. And so I spoke that out and I said, I believe in you to share your toys with Natalia. I want to give you this sticker because you share. And when you have a toy that you're playing with and you want it, you can think, okay, how can I share with Natalia and play with it too, right? Well, she loved that sticker and she ran downstairs and she's like, Mommy gave me the sticker that says I share. And then she wore it all day. And then when we were going to bed, she put it on her bunk bed and she said, I want to wake up in the morning and remember that I share. That's the power of your intentional words and your Speak Life badges. Together, that's a dynamite duo. And you are speaking into existence what is not yet there. You know those everybody comments about those terrible teenage years? I tell my kids all the time, we're gonna have an amazing time when you are teenagers. We're gonna have fun doing business together. We're gonna have fun exploring together and traveling and creating things. We're gonna love being together. I'm gonna speak that out because that's what I want. And we could work towards that. And so I encourage you to speak into existence what is not yet there with your words. We believe what you know that you know that you know. Your kids are who they are and who they can be and what they can achieve. Speak that out. I encourage you to do that. I care about you so much. If you have any questions that I can help you out with, would you ask in the comments below, or you can email me at Kimberly@speaklifebadges.com. I would love to hear how you use this pre-game huddle with your kids. It is a simple idea, but if you're anything like Andrew and I, when we were first parents of young little kids, we weren't using the pre-game huddle. And when we learned it and we did it faithfully, it changed everything for us. And I believe in that for you and your family. So let me know how it goes this week with your pre-game huddle. I look forward to seeing you next week. Let me tell you the question that we're going to answer next week, 2 of them. How do I know what to say to my child? How do I stay calm and say the right words for the moment? And I can tell when I've hurt my daughter with my words and I don't like it. How do I talk with my child when I did or said something that caused them hurt? Great questions. I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. All the best for you and your family.